What if I told you one of the most advanced watches in the world is built using techniques from over 300 years ago? No AI, no automation, no shortcuts. Just methods from the 1700s when time itself was still being understood. And somehow, this watch can cost more than a luxury car. So the question is, why would a brand reject the future and deliberately go back to the past? Because this isn't really about telling time. In fact, it might be the opposite. This is not just a watch. This is the Breguet Classique Tourbillon. At first glance, it looks elegant, almost simple. Clean dial, refined design, nothing that screams for attention. But that's the illusion, because hidden beneath that calm exterior is one of the most complex inventions ever created in watchmaking, the tourbillon. A mechanism so intricate, so delicate, that it feels almost impossible to exist on something you can wear on your wrist. Tiny components, constantly in motion, working together with absolute precision. Every second, every rotation, perfectly calculated, perfectly executed. And here's the surprising part. Even today, with all our technology, with all our machines, most watchmakers still refuse to attempt it. Not because they don't understand it, but because mastering it takes something machines can't give. Time, patience, and years, sometimes decades of skill. To understand this watch, we need to go back, way back, late 1700s. A man named Abraham-Louis Breguet wasn't just making watches, he was solving a problem no one else could. Gravity. Back then, pocket watches spent most of their time in one position, sitting vertically inside a coat. And because of that, gravity would slowly pull on the tiny components inside, causing small errors that added up over time. The watch would lose accuracy, not because it was poorly made, but because physics was working against it. So instead of fighting gravity directly, he did something unexpected. He decided to outsmart it. His solution was a rotating cage that holds the most sensitive parts of the watch, the escapement, and keeps them in constant motion. Instead of staying in one position and being affected by gravity, it keeps moving, constantly shifting, constantly balancing out those tiny errors. It was an idea that felt almost impossible at the time. Delicate, complex, and far ahead of its era. He called it the tourbillon. Here's the strange part. Modern watches don't need tourbillons anymore. We have quartz, we have atomic clocks. We have technology that is far more accurate than anything mechanical could ever achieve. In terms of pure precision, the tourbillon has already been left behind, so why keep it? Because this was never just about accuracy, not anymore. It's about mastery. The tourbillon represents the absolute peak of watchmaking. It's not there because it has to be, it's there because it can be. A statement that a human being with enough skill and patience can build something this complex, this precise, using nothing but tiny gears, springs, and years of experience. It's a reminder that true craftsmanship isn't measured by efficiency, but by effort. And in a world where everything is automated, instant, and optimized, the tourbillon stands as proof that some things are still worth doing the hard way. Every part inside the Breguet Classique tourbillon is finished by hand, not polished by machines, not mass-produced. Every surface, every edge, every tiny detail is touched by a human, carefully shaped and refined over hours, sometimes days. The bridges are hand-engraved, the edges are hand-beveled until they catch the light just right. Each component is assembled slowly, precisely, with no room for error. There's no shortcut here, no automation to fall back on. Even the dial tells the same story. Often created using traditional guilloche techniques from the 1700s, where intricate patterns are carved line by line using specialized tools. It's a process that demands focus, control, and an almost obsessive level of patience. And the pressure is real, because a single mistake, one slip, one miscalculation, and the entire piece is ruined. This isn't manufacturing. This is something else entirely. This is art, disguised as engineering. What makes this watch even more fascinating is not just what's inside it, but how it looks, because the design you see isn't modern. It's a language created in the 18th century, and it hasn't been replaced since. It starts with the dial. Those patterns you see are not random. They're hand guilloche, engraved using a rose engine, a tool that dates back centuries. Each pattern, like the Clous de Paris, isn't just for beauty. It reduces reflections, making the time easier to read. Form and function perfectly balanced, then come the hands. The iconic Breguet hands, designed in 1783. Thin, elegant, made of blued steel, with that small hollow circle near the tip. It's a design that feels delicate, but it was created for clarity. Even today, it stands out instantly without trying too hard. And then there's the enamel, grand feu enameling. A process where powdered glass is fired at over 800 degrees Celsius again and again until it forms a smooth, flawless surface. It doesn't fade, it doesn't age, it stays the same no matter how much time passes. Look even closer and you'll find something most people miss. A secret signature quietly etched into the dial. Introduced centuries ago to prevent counterfeiting, almost invisible but always there, a silent mark of authenticity. All of these details come together to create something unique, not loud, not flashy, but deeply intentional. This isn't just design, it's a signature that time couldn't erase. Look closely at the dial. At first, it just looks like a beautiful pattern, clean, detailed, perfectly arranged. But those intricate lines you see, they're not printed, they're not stamped. They're carved slowly, carefully, using century-old machines that require complete control from the person operating them. Each line is cut by hand, one after another, with absolute precision. There's no undo button here, no second chance, just a steady hand and years of experience guiding every movement. And as those lines build up, they create something you can't fake, real depth. A texture that catches light in a way modern printing simply cannot replicate. It's subtle, easy to miss if you're not paying attention. But once you notice it, once you see how the light moves across those patterns, you realize you're looking at something far more than decoration. And after that, you can't unsee it. You'd think machines could do this better, faster, cheaper, more precise, and in many ways they can. Machines can produce perfect parts over and over again with zero variation, zero error. But here's the truth, that's exactly the problem. Machines can replicate perfection, but they cannot replicate soul. Because when something is made by hand, it carries something extra. Tiny imperfections, small variations, details that are never exactly the same twice. Not flaws, but signatures. Proof that a real person was there, shaping it, refining it, making decisions in real time. And that's what makes each piece unique, not just in how it looks, but in how it feels. In the end, collectors aren't just paying for precision. They're paying for that human touch, something no machine, no matter how advanced, can ever truly replace. Now comes the part most people don't understand. Why does this watch cost so much? At first, it's easy to assume it's because of the gold or the brand name or the luxury attached to it, but that's only the surface. The real reason is much deeper. It's time. Not the time it tells, but the time it takes to create it. Hundreds of hours of human effort focused into something small enough to sit on your wrist. Every detail carefully shaped, every component patiently finished, every step done with intention. What you're paying for isn't just materials, it's the years it took to learn this craft, the decades spent mastering it, the generations that passed this knowledge forward, refining it little by little. So you're not just buying a watch. You're buying centuries of knowledge preserved in motion. In a world that is constantly chasing innovation, Breguet chose something different. It chose preservation. While everything around us is moving toward automation, speed, and convenience, this is a brand that deliberately holds on to the past. And there's a reason for that. Because once these techniques disappear, they don't come back. The skills, the knowledge, the craftsmanship built over centuries, if they're not practiced, they fade. And when they fade, they're gone forever. So this watch becomes something more than just an object. It becomes a keeper of tradition, a way to carry history forward, not in books or museums, but in something alive, something moving, something you can wear. This watch isn't just telling time. It's protecting history. So the next time you see a Tourbillon, pause for a second and really look at it, because you're not looking at something outdated. You're not looking at a piece of old technology that couldn't keep up. You're looking at a rebellion against time itself. A choice to hold on to something that refuses to be replaced. In a world that upgrades everything, this is something that stays. Something that proves progress isn't always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about holding on. It's a reminder that the old ways still matter. That skill, patience, and tradition still have value even today. And maybe that's the real reason it feels so special. Because some things aren't meant to be replaced. They're meant to be revered. And that's what makes them priceless.